Welcome to From the Magic Pencil, Voices of Writing Through. Our goal is to amplify the voices of people whose stories need to be heard.
Hi, my name is Kristin Schuster, and I'm the Deputy Director of Writing Through. Thank you so much for tuning in to our very first podcast. We have a really interesting chat for you with Rattana, one of the very first participants of Writing Through, who discusses his studies both in the US and in Cambodia, what writing means to him, and why it's important to listen to the stories of people from diverse backgrounds and think about how we might be able to help each other. Before we get into the interview, we just wanted to take a moment to tell you about what Writing Through is and how it all got started.
Hi, I'm Sue Guiney. I'm the founder and executive director of Writing Through, and I live in the US after having lived in the UK for more than a quarter of a century. The Writing Through workshop actually grew out of an English language creative writing workshop that I ran in one small shelter in Siem Reap, Cambodia. And I started it maybe 12 years ago. The reason why I offered this workshop to this organization called Anjali House is because I'm a writer. I write poetry and novels. And as a writer, very often you run workshops for other people who want to be writers or for students. I had visited Cambodia and just fell in love with it. And my eyes were opened to all sorts of societal issues and problems that I had never really thought about before. And after that trip, I knew I wanted to write a novel about my experience, imagining what the experience is like for Cambodian people living there and the Westerners who come to help them. So I wrote this novel, which became A Clash of Innocence. And based on that, I decided I really wanted to bring something back to the people who had inspired me in the first place. And so I was put in touch with Anjali House, this NGO, educational shelter for street kids, and offered them a workshop. And they said, yes, sure, come, but you have to understand you can't just come and affect the lives of our kids once and then have them never see you again. And so I went once, and then I went again, and then I went again. And I was just doing my own thing for several years, staying in Siem Reap for longer and longer each time. But then over those years, the workshop started to evolve. I started to realize more and more what it was I was teaching. And it wasn't only English language. And it wasn't just creativity. And it wasn't just self-esteem. It was all of those things. But it was really thinking skills. And it was using the creative writing in English with the help of local teachers to develop thinking skills in at-risk populations in Cambodia. Other NGOs started to find out about me and wanted me to run the workshop for them. There was one very large French NGO called Enfants du Mekong, Children of the Mekong, and they asked me to run my workshop for one of their centers. And then they asked me to run it for all 6 of their centers throughout Cambodia. And that's when I had to come to a screeching halt and say, wait a minute, what is this all about? I can't just do this by myself. Obviously, there is a need and a demand for this. And that's when I decided to create the nonprofit organization, which is Writing Through, and which now functions in 4 countries around the world and is growing incredibly.
Our workshops are 5 90-minute sessions where we teach participants how to write poems, short stories, and journal entries. On the 5th session, they do presentation practice. Now, we all know how nerve-wracking it can be to do public speaking, but with this, we give them some tips and pointers that they can use not just for reading their poems, but for presentations at school, at work, and social events that they might need to speak in front of their peers and groups. After the end of the sessions, we have something called the big event. And this is where we invite members of the community, peers, teachers, and family to come and listen to our participants stand up and proudly read their poems. This can be very daunting, and while we know that our participants can be very nervous going in, that's what makes it even better, because the pride that they feel after they've accomplished something that had them so scared is just incredible, and it's something that really will last. Another lasting part is a magazine. And in this magazine, we publish their work. We type up their poems, stories, journal entries, we add in some pictures from the week, and they get to keep a copy of this. So they're able to see their name written in this work and share it with anyone that they choose. So it's something that they can look back on in the future and see what they've accomplished. They also get a certificate to say that they've completed the workshop. Now it's time to hear from our dear friend Rattana. Hi Rattana, thanks so much for joining us today. It's great to have you, and it seemed only fitting that you be our first guest. Can you please introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about you?
My name is Rattana and I am from Siem Reap, Cambodia. I am a scholarship project officer at Ep1 Youth. I have been working there for almost 2 years now. Besides that, I also am a member of the Youth Advisory Council at Comic Relief US. I guess you are hearing the noises background, and it's actually the frog noise because it's been raining all day today, and they're kind of like crying.
They're having a party.
Yeah.
Rattana, can you please tell me a little bit about how you came in contact with Sue and Writing Through?
Well, Sue came to Angeli in 2010, and she came here with her friend, and then she did a workshop with me and other young adult students at Angeli House. I can say that we were her first students in Writing Through at that time. Back then, I guess I was only 12 years old. It was so much fun writing with Sue in our very first class. We wrote short stories and poems describing about our favorite places. And one thing that I remember from the poems that we did together is about the caterpillar in the morning eating the leaves. Some kind like that, I couldn't remember it all, but that's the best poem that I remember.
How many workshops did you do?
I joined Sue's workshop for, I would say, 6 years, since I was 12 until I was 18.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Can you tell me, what did you feel the first day of your first workshop with Sue walking in telling you you were going to write in English? How did you feel when she said that?
At that time, my English was not really good, but I didn't feel stressed writing it at all, because Sue made us all have the confidence to write it, and we write it with some kind of like free writing, And also she told us some writing methods. Write it with magic pencil, the magic pencil that she brought with her and gave it to us to write it.
Do you still have any of your magic pencils?
I guess not.
Oh, Rattana, I have more for you.
Yeah. Love to have more if you do.
Yeah, I just ordered 5,000, so
okay.
I have too many. Rattana, can you tell me, what is your relationship to writing, and how has it changed over time? Do you like to write?
I love to write. I have a deep relationship with writing. I love writing short stories, poems, and also research papers. Back in high school, I spent most of my free time writing poems, mostly in Khmer poems. In college in the US, I wrote many research papers, and I would say that I love doing it because I did it well. And also, currently, I'm still in college, and I also do a lot of research writing as well. I still find some time to write Khmer poems, which I really love doing the most.
What are you studying?
Right now, I'm pursuing a bachelor degree in law at Fulbright University. In the US, I studied at Tompkins Cortland Community College, which is in Dryden, upstate New York. I spent my time there a year and a half to complete a 2-year degree.
Wow, amazing. How do you think that doing the writing through workshops might have helped you in your studying in the US? Did you use any of the skills that you learned in the workshops?
Yeah, I would say I do, because the skills that I really use the most is to think about something critically, It's something that Sue taught us as well. And also to not stress about writing, just have fun with it. Yeah, Sue's no me's better. It's like I am kind of like the worries person, and I want everything like to be good.
Perfect.
And Sue's and Don, and they even call me Mr. Knucklehead because I worry too much.
Can you explain to anyone listening the difference between how you learned to write at school versus how you learned to write with Sue?
My experience with writing in high school, in Khmer writing, we have so many restrictions in terms of writing essays and poetry. Sometimes limits our thinking, our thoughts. But writing with Sue, we have freedom to write, and we tend to think everything, I would say, critically. We tend to see things in a big picture.
And speaking of seeing things in the big picture, can you tell us a bit about what in your community or even in the world at large are things that you would like to work to change?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, I've seen so many social issues in my community, and some issues in the world that we live in common. And for example, social inequality between the rich and the poor, poverty, lack of access to good healthcare, lack of access to good quality education, lack of access to good nutrition. I came from a poor family, so I know exactly what it is. After seeing those social issues, I can tell that me alone as an individual, I can't change it alone. I can't change it. But I can do it with others. For example, what I am doing right now, like the first thing we have to do is to educate young children and shape their thought to fully understanding about what it takes to become a good person and what it takes to create the world a better place to live. I believe that when people are educated, social issues will be tackled. Even we can like change everything about it, at least we can make it better, we can make it better for everyone.
Yeah, and especially with a law degree, you can make some real difference. Amazing. I just want to keep asking you questions. How do you think that writing can influence the way you see the world?
Well, I would say that it helps me to see my community and the world in a big picture. And also, it helps me to think critically about everything I do. I would just say that. It also helps me to be brave and confident to talk about social issues that we have in our daily life, in our community, and also how we can find the solutions to tackle those issues.
So, Rattana, now I think would be a great time if you want to read your poem.
I don't know if Sue ever told you about the story behind this poem.
No.
So I wrote this poem when I was in grade 12 in high school, after talking with Sue about my future goals, my future dream, my American dream. I would say that. I always dream about going to the US to continue my studies after high school. Sue told me that there's a possible way that we can do to make this dream come true. In her workshop, I wrote this poem, and then 2 years later, I went to the US. I kept telling my friends in the US and also my professors when talking about this poem, like, you know, this poem also shows my dream of coming to the US as well. It's like something like that. So proud that it's come true,
You should be very, very proud of that. It's not an easy thing to
Yeah.
do.
My dream place. Some places where I can go. One place which I have to. It's so far, why can't I? Look up to the sky, how can I? Fly like the birds in the sky. go to places where they want. I can't fly by plane like birds to the place which I have to for my studies. It's not a dream in the night. It is the life in the light, which is bright like sunshine.
What ways does writing currently play a role in your life?
Writing has played a huge role in my life. I would say as a poet, I have written many poems to express my feelings about things like social issues, politics, Cambodia's nature, temples and landscapes, my high school memories, my childhood memories, and even the beauty of a woman, and also my parents' sacrifice. I have also written some of my journeys to places, even my life stories, connecting it with the society and express how social issues motivate me to fight for a better life as I am now today, and also to be a great role model for young people, especially those who experience the tough life, those who live in poverty.
Is there anything else that you want to add? Anything that you want to say to people that are listening that don't really know too much about writing through, or that don't know too much about Anjali or Pepe or Cambodia?
I would say I've talked a lot, and I just encourage them that if they read poems or short stories written by students in writing through, they could imagine the life of young Cambodians from poor families or from rural areas that writing through have been working with. Also, it helps them to learn more about people from the diversity backgrounds, maybe thinking about how they can help them.
Amazing. That's perfect, Rattana. You've done such an incredible job today. Really, Rattana, thank you so much for doing this. It was
Thank
really,
you.
really
Thank you
great.
for having me.
Thank you so much for listening. In our next episode, Sue will be joined by Jess Blackledge, her first staff member at Writing Through and the former assistant director. They will be discussing Jess's move back to the UK after 10 years in Asia, her new job, and the importance of collaboration in creativity. It's a really interesting conversation, so be sure to check it out. Here's a taste.
Part of allowing them to access their imagination and co-create is giving them permission and letting them know that it's here and it's available and you're able to do this. You don't have to only do this.
This podcast has been many years in the making, and we're so excited to finally be sharing it with you. Please be sure to subscribe to From the Magic Pencil, Voices of Writing Through, and to write a review for the episode. Please also share with any friends or family that might be interested. Help us to keep spreading the word. Thank you, and keep an ear out for our next episode.
From the Magic Pencil is a collaborative product of the staff and volunteers of Writing Through, including founder and executive director Sue Guiney and deputy director Kristin Schuster. It is edited and produced by our operations coordinator, B. Rice. We would like to give special thanks to our interns, Rachel Walkman and Eva Phelps, without whom these podcasts would not have been possible. If you are interested in donating, volunteering, or partnering with Writing Through, or just finding out a little bit more about what we do, you can check out our website at www.writingthrough.org. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, or email us at info@writingthrough.org. Until next time, thank you so much for listening. Ever onward.